For my Lab5WekaChallenge, challenge, I decided to use a bank data set that I was able to find online that was associated with the project. And this data set focuses on bank customers, and it has certain attributes of certain bank customers as far as their age, their income, where they live, their marital status, the amount of kids they have, and that sort of thing. So I thought that this would be interesting to use and look at some clustering for this type of data set to be able to see which kinds of attributes are often seen with other types of attributes. In order to do that, I wanted to begin by making all of my data numerical. All of my numerical data into categorical or interval data, so it'd be easier to compare instead of having just a large range of continuous data for things like income and age. So in order to make income and age categorical, I used the discretize filter and used the fourth attribute, which is income, made it into 3 bins. And then as you can see, it changes into 3 bins. And then I did the same thing for age, which was the number 1 attribute. I used the discretize filter. And once again, I changed the attribute to 1 and had 3 separate bins and applied that to age. As you can see, I made it into 3 separate intervals for age and income. So once I got the interval into 3 bins for income, I wanted to make it easier to read because of the CSV file. The value of income had brackets and backslashes, so I opened up the text file and used the find feature to find the first interval of income, which was about $24,000, from 0 to $24,000, and I replaced it. I replaced all those, and then I did that for the next value. I used the find feature and put it in, found all the values for the next interval, which is about 24,000 to 43,000, and I replaced it, just removing all those brackets but still keeping the values intact. Then hit done and replaced all of those. And following that, I just did it for the last one as well. Copied and pasted the value, the current value in the file, found all those values, and then I copy and pasted that into there, use the replace function, just made it simplified without all the brackets and backslashes, and once I made sure that all those values are correct, I just made it from that value, from about 43,000, 44,000 till the max value, and got those 3. So once I had my data cleaned and all my interval values created, rather than having them continuous, I wanted to begin to cluster them. So I just used the simple k-means clustering function within Weka, and from there you really just decide how many clusters you want to create. And I chose 8, ran it, and found the different clusters. So from here, it kind of helps you find out, how many instances there are. The most popular, so I had about 600 instances, 11 total attributes. Shows how many times and iterations it goes through to get the clusters, and then the clusters identify the most popular attributes in each cluster. So then you can kind of begin looking through the data and seeing which ones relate to each other, and then you can see at the bottom how many instances are in each cluster, so let's see which ones have the most instances. So now I wanted to start visualizing the clusters, so I just did a right click on the k-means and opened up a window to start visualizing the clusters. As you can see, you can kind of control the x and y axes. So on the y-axis, I want to have cluster, and then on the x-axis, I want to look at the income, and then cross-reference that with the regions. Oh, excuse me, I want to do that the other way around. The jitter will kind of let you see more data points the more you increase that, so I wanted to be able to see kind of the distribution of all of them. But again, I wanted to switch that. I wanted to have cluster on the x-axis and income on the y-axis. So now I can start to look at my clusters, again play with my jitter to kind of see which groupings are apparent. And for this one, I kind of start to compare it with my clusters, the actual tabular data, to see, which kinds of attributes are paired together. So as you can see, inner city is apparent in the in let's see, which cluster are we looking at? So inner city is apparent in cluster 4. You see a lot of blue dots there. You also see the income level is the same, 0. It's hard to see the income on the y-axis, but that's the lowest income interval and the most blue dots. Cluster 5, you see a lot more red, so that's town, and you see more in the middle range. And then for cluster 2, you see same blue, but this time you see the middle value for salary or for income. And then you can compare male and female as well. You can see in cluster 0, female is apparent, way more blue. And then in cluster 4, there's a lot more red. So I just thought it was interesting to take a look at the clusters and how we can see how certain characteristics and attributes can compare to each other by using k-means and pulling out the most common attributes among different clusters. I thought it was pretty useful, and I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks.